Good?
Hold on, we're connecting.
Okay.
And we're live.
Welcome, everybody. My name is Dr. Grace Telesco, and I'm joined today with Dr. Tim Scala. He is a clinical psychologist. He works in the Department of Human Services in the Fischler College of Education School of Criminal Justice. He and I are going to co-facilitate this very important program, the Sociodrama program called How Can I Help? I want to introduce our amazing colleagues from Inspire. If you guys don't mind maybe standing up and just kind of telling everybody who you are and how this came about, if you want. Okay? Sure. And there's the camera's right there. If you stand right here, you'll be right in the shot.
All right, so thank you everyone for coming. So we are Inspire, so we are a club at the College of Psychology. And we wanted to join forces with the Sociodrama Club after we went to the Red Flags. The Red Flags.
Sociodrama.
Yeah. And so together we just thought that it would be a great moment, you know, to really showcase such an important topic and maybe bring prevention and awareness to suicide and how to help.
Yeah, so we're both in Inspire, so that's the Graduate Psychology Club in the College of Psychology. So we work to raise suicide awareness and prevention. So that's how we kind of came up with this idea to collaborate with you guys here. And we're also in TRIP at the Nova Psychology Clinic as well. So if you have any questions about our services or the other clinics within our college too, feel free to ask us after the show.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys. And, you know, the material that we're going to see, and the beautiful thing about sociodrama is that we use theater techniques. How many of you have been to sociodramas before with us? Yes, awesome. And so, as you know, we get this amazing opportunity to speak to the characters who stay in character. We're doing it a little different today. Today is a little bit, you know, we're using masks as part of some props. You'll understand the symbolism and the significance behind that. But look, this is a subject matter that is extremely sensitive. And so what we're about to see can be as real as can be for so many people. Whether you're a young person or an old person, it crosses, you know, socioeconomic, race, ethnicity, religion. There are certain groups that are a little bit more at risk, and we'll talk a little bit about that maybe later on. We'll get our experts to help us understand how some populations are a little at higher risk, whether they be folks who suffer with depression, folks who suffer with post-traumatic stress, young people, LGBTQ people who are in the margins perhaps, people who feel disenfranchised and marginalized. But we'll see, you know, how that goes later on. We'll talk about all of the different risk factors, but the most important thing, the objective here, is for us to see how can we help. How can an intervention occur? During the performance, or midway, or at the end, if you start to feel any kind of way, we're here. We're here. We have our amazing counselors, our TRIP counselors, and we have Dr. Scala and myself, or any of the sociodrama ensemble, if you want to come up to them and you feel comfortable to say anything to them, and then we can kind of help direct you in the right way. Okay? Everybody good? Everybody ready? Ready to start? All right, so the way this starts is I say action, the action unfolds, the first scene unfolds, I say freeze, and that's the opportunity we'll get to have a dialogue with the audience. Okay. Action.
You're better off marking them all down as the letter C.
Why are you even wasting your time? It doesn't matter how much you study, you'll never be good enough.
Don't you have a learning disability? You were born stupid.
You're a disappointment to your friends, family, and yourself.
You better start looking at McDonald's application, because that's the furthest you're ever gonna go.
Do you even like yourself?
You know, you're not only stupid, but everyone hates you.
Freeze. What do we see here? What do you think this is a demonstration of? Well, first of all, what is she doing? Studying or taking a test, maybe, right? And I know that the character here, I don't think we're going to be able to talk to her right now, but we will later on in some other scenes. But her name is Kate, and Kate is taking an exam. How many of us get test anxiety? Anybody? I know I do, right? All you have to do is tell me it's a test. If you tell me I have to present, I'm good. But if you tell me I gotta take a test where I have to remember stuff and all of that, I just start getting like, those standardized tests especially, right? So you start getting anxious. Now, I'm gonna ask for the voices in the head to turn around a minute. Who are you guys? Who are you?
We're her insecurities. We're what she tells herself anytime she's doing something like a test or doing something like getting ready. We're there to remind her how she sucks and she's hideous and she's never gonna be able to do anything right.
Okay.
I just say we're there to remind her that she was honest. It was kind of there at all times to make sure you keep her in place, keep her humble.
So the belief systems, these belief systems in the head. Dr. Scala, do you want to talk anything about that at all, about these negative belief systems that we have, that kind of like those voices in the head? You know, some people in recovery talk about this, it's a committee. It's a whole committee talking in our heads.
Yep, and thinking of this from a cognitive behavioral standpoint, it's an approach that I use a lot with clients in my private practice, and some of these things that we're seeing are really what we call automatic thoughts. So it's the thoughts that you automatically go to when you're struggling, and in this case, we're hearing a lot of negative automatic thoughts here, and those begin to pile up over time, and also can become part of your identity and who you are. You start to internalize those thoughts to the point where now you see yourself. I believe one of the voices said, "You're stupid." That's an example of something that a person might start to label themselves as based on some of the negative thoughts or the failures that happen over and over.
Great. So here's the question, you know, because the subject matter is suicide awareness, suicide prevention, intervention techniques, or tips for us as regular lay people, you know, who are not psychologists, who are not counselors, who are not mental health people, you know, the regular ordinary friend. How can the friend help? So that's the subject matter. But here's the question. How many of us have these negative belief systems in our own heads? Whether we're suicidal is not even an issue right now, to say that we have these negative thoughts and these negative belief systems that sometimes operate within us, yes?
Yeah, I just think that's the human condition, just to think negatively about yourself sometimes in certain social situations or personal situations.
Okay. Anything else? How we view ourselves, right?
Yeah, I feel like everyone has at least like a few points that they feel insecure about, and that kind of they feel those thoughts creeping in their head. I feel like everyone goes through it to an extent. It's just depending on personal situations, how bad it gets and stuff like that. So.
Right, and then it becomes multi-layered, right? So that it's not just like sort of normal, which we hate that word, right? But normal people might feel insecure, might have these thoughts in the head, might have these negative belief systems, but now layer it with issues of microaggressions. Put another layer on top of that with body dysmorphia or bad body image. Layer it with racism, layer it with classism, layer it with all of these various other systems of oppression that might be interplaying, and you're really finding yourself on the margins. You know what I'm saying? You relate? You identify? Yeah? Okay. So what would you offer to Kate as a tip, as a intervention, as a suggestion, as a friendly, kind of friendly, supportive statement? Anything that you would want to say to Kate? right now, she's taking this test, she feels, there might be a learning disability. Did you notice that? Did you hear that? Pick that up. So maybe there's a learning disability too. Okay, there's anxiety, okay. Any supportive statement that you'd like to make if you were her friend? Thank you.
I would tell her that she's not her thoughts, and her thoughts aren't always true.
Excellent, excellent. You're not your thoughts. So they're telling you that you, what were some of the statements that you made again? Let's hear those statements again, those negative beliefs.
She's a disappointment to herself, her friends, and her family.
Now that's not true. That's a false belief. That's not true. She's not a disappointment, but she feels that she is. And you know, maybe she is a disappointment to somebody. We don't know. We don't know what her family history is. We don't know what's going on with her family. We haven't even met them yet, so we don't even know who they are. If there's a mother or father, if there's a guardian, we don't know what the situation is. So maybe she does feel like she's been a disappointment. So when we say that they're not true, maybe there's a little kernel, just like stereotypes, right? A kernel of truth that gets totally blown out of proportion. Does that happen to us? You know, maybe we disappointed one person one time, and then that's what we kind of focus on. What were some of the other statements?
I said that she.
Nice and loud, can't hear.
Okay. I said that she needs to start applying for McDonald's because that's the furthest she's ever gonna go in life.
Yeah. Did anybody ever get that kind of like, you know, non-supportive statements from people? Anybody? Yeah? Big?
Yeah. Yeah, I
You
feel
have?
like definitely there's people who doubt what you can accomplish, but I think especially yourself, like you'd be surprised at what you can do if you really put your mind to it. And I feel like having that like negative doubt in yourself is something that I'm assuming a lot of people experience, because it's definitely something I experience sometimes.
Yeah. When I was in high school, I'll self-disclose, this is live on public television here. I was in high school, and I was told by the guidance counselor, that I shouldn't really pursue college, that wasn't really my thing, that I should probably, it's true, that I wouldn't do well in college, that I should go for like a more practical degree, a technical degree, instead of, there were two different kinds of degrees. I don't know if they still do that. Do they still do that? I don't think so. And I walked out of there believing that. Until this day, sometimes those negative thoughts and those negative belief systems will come into play. I might be in a room filled with really brilliant people, smart colleagues. I have two of them right here, right now, where that thought creeps in. Remember what they said? You know, I was only like 14 or something, but remember what they said? It's true, but it isn't true. But it was planted by one of those negative belief givers, whether that be family, friends, teachers, whoever it might be, drops that little bad seed, and then it grows and it blooms. Anything else? Were there any other statements that were made? Can't remember.
I said that not only is she stupid, but everyone hates her.
Everybody hates her. Wow. You know, and the question is, I mean, where are her friends? I don't know. Like, does Kate have friends?
When I look at it, why would she have friends?
Wow. So, and we gotta get to the bottom of the clown mask. What do you think that's about? Anybody? Any ideas?
How she sees
Why a
herself.
clown? It's how she sees herself? Okay.
That's what I was gonna say.
Okay. So, you know, keeping that front up. You know, some of us walk around with these, you know, egomaniac attitudes, but really it's inferiority, right? It's lack of self-esteem. So we walk around all arrogant, but that's really a mask that we wear, right? Would you agree? All right, let's see where this goes, should we? Any other, and Dr. Scala, Dr. Del Rio, anything? She also, they said, the negative belief said that she had a learning disability too.
Yes.
Is it harder for people with learning disabilities?
Sure.
Dr. Del Rio?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And that's gonna create a lot of frustration and helplessness, which might lead her to believe some of these things about herself.
Yes, yes. All right, maybe we'll learn a little bit more about Kate in this next scene. Ready? Action.
I bet you're feeling pretty, huh? That's because you haven't looked in the mirror. Look in the mirror. Go. Look at yourself in the mirror. You look hideous. It looks like you've actually outgrown that. Maybe it's time for you to cut on breakfast, don't you think? You'll be doing yourself a favor. Well, there is one thing that's good about your body, and that it's not as ugly as your face. Do you practice being this ugly? Because it looks like that's the only thing you're good at. And not only are you ugly, but you have no taste. Look at those shoes. They don't even go with that outfit. You look horrible. Do you think that little crush at school is even gonna look at you? With that horse hair? It's dry. It looks like horse hair. You look horrible.
Kate, get in the car. You're gonna make me late for work.
Freeze. How many can identify with this? Sometimes you avoid a mirror. You won't even want to look at the mirror, right? It's not because of the truth or the reality that Kate is beautiful. It's about the negative thoughts. Dr. Scala, do you want to comment on this scene?
Yeah, I think this is more further negative thoughts from what we see in the first scene. Now we're seeing also body image issues to kind of combine with some of the learning difficulties that we heard in the first scene and her struggles academically. So now we're seeing the kind of the social side of her life that she's struggling with. So now we're seeing social and academic side being negative and affecting her. And the red flags are starting to go up here with, like you were talking about earlier, things piling on and getting to a point hopefully of no return, that we don't get to that point and that she's able to get support before that happens.
Yes. Do I have any, my counselors? Comments? No?
Yeah, I think very similarly, this really shows the continuation of just the negative thoughts as like in, not just at school, but now you can see that it's sort of maybe everywhere in her life.
Yes. Good. Joe?
I think that like you're really seeing how the negative thoughts are kind of slowing her down because she didn't finish her test, and now her parents are yelling at her like, get in the car. It's kind of like slowing down her life almost. She's not really paying attention to reality.
Yeah, yeah. If you were Kate's friend, what would you say to her? Have a conversation with her. Anyone? Kenny?
Yeah, I'd want her to like share, or at least like ask her to share, like what she's insecure about, just so I know, as friends, like we need that connection. We need to know what's going on in their heads and their lives. So like I would want to know, and then like just tell her the truth. Like she's a person, like she's a human being. Whatever you're thinking is not always true. It's like especially negative thinking, like negative self-talk. It's not always true.
Right.
Well, it's
Right.
never true. So.
Yes. Good. Anybody else? Michaela?
I think what Kenny was saying, that like I want her to like open up and like share a little bit of how she's feeling, like these negative voices coming into her and everything when she's walking by the mirror, and also like for the testing too.
Okay. Good. Anne, want to say anything? Any comments? If you're Kate's friend?
Just support, like sometimes the way somebody acts, like if it differs from the general thing, or sometimes if you're very close to the person, you can see these things coming on, you can help, you can try to have a talk, or the things they like, or just being there and support them.
Good.
And trying to take them away from environments that's triggering.
Yeah. Kate, I'm gonna ask you a question. You don't have to answer verbally, but you can answer us non-verbally. Do you have a support system? Do you have friends, a circle of friends that you feel safe with? No, not really. But when we see Kate in the hallway, she's always smiling. She doesn't seem to be sad or crying. Is that often the case?
Yeah, I feel like like you said, it's a front. It's like a persona that everyone puts on, and you don't know what's going on behind that mask. Like, it's not a clown mask. It's just like a mask. It's like we have that smile, but in reality, they don't know, or people don't know what they're going through inside.
Yes, exactly. So I want to really talk about, you know, this dynamic of looking in the mirror and you know, the kind of the mimicking, this kind of mime mimic that you were doing. How big of a role does that play in our lives? When we're seeing ourselves, but we're seeing ourselves through a distorted lens. Did anybody ever, I don't know, maybe you guys are too young to remember this, but there's this like fun house in Brooklyn. You know the fun house where you're like looking in the mirror and the mirror's all distorted, you know, and it's funny. But what if that was the lens that you were looking through, like all the time? Dr. Scala, you want to comment?
Yeah, I think then you develop this perception of yourself that's not real when you take that approach and you see yourself as a distorted human being, whether it be your thoughts or your appearance, or you know, not living what you would call a normal life with having friends. And as she's saying, no friends, she likely does have a friend and probably doesn't realize it, or doesn't value that one friendship, and that's where I think that this kind of overall distortion of who she is creating this depression that we're seeing.
Yeah, I'd like to get to the bottom of what's going on with her family. So we heard a voice, right? We heard this voice of it sounded like the dad. You were the dad, weren't you? Wasn't that your voice?
Yeah.
You were calling out for her, like, hurry up, get in the car?
Yep.
So what's the deal? Are you with her mother, or you have custody? What's going on? You come pick her up every once in a while or every few weeks or something?
Yeah,
What's the deal?
I usually see Kate on the weekends, but sometimes when her mother can't drive her to school, I'll try to get over there before work and give her a ride. But we were running super late today, and I got to get to work. So
How much do you know about what's going on for Kate?
I mean, she seems all right to me. Like I said, I only see her on the weekends. I don't know. She seems to be just a normal teenage girl. Like I don't really notice anything off with her. Really, she doesn't really share a lot about.
Is she quiet?
Yeah, she's definitely very quiet.
Keeps to herself?
Yeah, I think she's a little shy. You know, she always has been, but it's definitely ramped up a little bit. But I think it's just part of high school. You know, I think it's just something she's going through.
How is she taking the divorce?
It's definitely been tough, but it was tough for a while. But me and her mom are civil now. We just don't really see each other that much. Like I said, I get her on the weekends, and I get her a couple times a month to drive her to school.
What does your ex-wife do for a living?
She's a nurse, so she's got long hours. Sometimes she's doing nights and can't be there all the time. So I know Kate's alone sometimes after school, but you know she's got to do what she's got to do. You know.
Any extracurricular activities for her?
Not that I'm aware of.
How invested are you in your daughter's life?
Well, I mean, like I said, I don't think she does anything really after school. Like I only see her on the weekends. She doesn't really talk a lot about school in general. You know, it's nice to get to spend the time with her that I do, but I'm pretty busy, and that's the only time I really get with her. So.
Does your wife work a lot?
Yeah, definitely.
Why is that?
I wish I could tell you.
Does that have anything to do with the fact that you're not really giving her child support?
I'm doing the best I can. I don't really want to get into
you
my
don't wanna bring
finances
that up.
here, but yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So your ex-wife is really kind of carrying the burden a little bit here, as far as the money is concerned.
Like I said, I'm doing the best I can here. I don't really know what more you want from me.
All right, don't get an attitude. Okay. Let's see the next scene. You ready for the next scene?
Yes.
Okay. Action.
Mom,
Hey Mom, are you home? Mom! Oh, what's this? What do we look over here at this piece of paper? Soccer. Sorry, honey, got called in for work, had to stay late again. Sorry I'm missing your big day. Oh, it's almost like we told you not to get your hopes up.
Looks like Mommy doesn't love you, huh? And look, your failed test right here on this table.
And look, the mirror you couldn't look in earlier. And look, no mother.
Why don't we sing her happy birthday, don't you think?
Oh.
Happy birthday to you. Happy birthday to you.
And look, here's Mom's pills. Why don't we take a couple?
Looks like a sign, don't you think?
I'd say so. Happy birthday, dear Kate. Happy birthday to you.
Freeze. Intense, right? How intense is this? Really, really realistic. Kate has her mask off now, so I think we can get a chance to have a dialogue with her and maybe intervene. How can we help? Let's see. Anybody want to jump up and help? I know you do.
I think Kate's at a point of kind of no return is what you were saying before. I think the help that she needs kind of goes beyond her friends and family. Unfortunately, she should start looking into more professional means.
But at this point, right in this moment, Dr. Scala, would you agree, we got to do something. Somebody's got to do something. We're all here. We're all ready to intervene. So let's see, because that's the whole point of the sociodrama program, really, is to go in that direction that we may not want to go in. We want to be able to verbalize. We want to be able to dialogue. We want to be able to interact. But then some people might be afraid. Oh, I don't want to say anything wrong. If I say something wrong, I'm gonna send her right over the edge, kind of thing. So let's learn in a very safe environment what's going on for Kate. Kate, do you feel like you can? You've been wearing the mask the whole entire time, and I want you to know that we're here, that we're all here, and we're all in your corner. Okay? You think you would be willing to talk to somebody from the audience? Is this a good time? Like maybe now we can talk?
Sure.
Yeah?
Sure.
Okay. So, come on, I need some heroes. Dr. Del Rio?
Kate, it seems like you're really feeling a lot of emotions right now. Seems almost like you're overwhelmed. Tell me a little bit about how you're feeling right now.
My mom, she knows that it's my birthday today, and she promised that we were gonna have a cake and celebrate, but she's working, like she's always doing. She's always working.
So mom seems like she has a lot going on. Do you think that mom has been stressed lately? Has she been stressed because of work lately?
I get it. She's a nurse, and but it's just.
Are there ways, it seems like unfortunately mom couldn't be here right now, but are there ways that mom does show you that she's there for you and that she does care about you?
She tries to be there in the mornings before she goes to work, but I just feel like it's not enough. It's so lonely.
Okay. Have you talked to mom about how you feel and how you'd like to spend a little bit more time with her?
I don't really like to, talk to my mom, or I don't really feel comfortable telling anybody about how I feel, but I do try to, tell her that I want to spend a bit more time with her, and she promises, but sometimes, a lot of times, she won't keep her promises.
Okay.
Is anybody curious about whether or not, remember before we were asking the question about Kate's support and friends? Is anybody interested in, we asked the question before, but maybe now that she has the mask off and our guard is down a little bit, maybe we can get in there and have some dialogue with her around her support. Does she have friends? Could somebody ask? Could somebody ask that question? You guys could hear me, right? No, I just wanna make sure.
Do you have friends, Kate?
There you go, thank you.
No, I don't have any friends.
So there's this isolation, right? Dr. Scala, can you talk a little bit about how that compounds exponentially the depression, the suicidal thoughts, suicidality, if that's what we've got here, which, how many of you think that's what we got here? Yeah, so can you talk a little bit about the isolation and how that's not a good thing?
Yeah, that's what we know about suicide is isolation is one of the big risk factors. We're seeing hopelessness, isolation from her, this kind of series of disappointments from probably the person who she maybe sees as the most supportive in her life, because we don't have any notion of friends here. So now we're at this point where she doesn't know who to turn to, and that can be very painful and can lead to suicide and attempting those and completing something like that.
Yeah, so I wanna, let's ask the question, if anybody, like, I don't wanna jump on you, like, if you wanna ask a question, raise your hand and you got it. But if no one's gonna ask the question, then I am, okay? Shall I, for you, on your behalf? Okay, very good. What's in the bottle?
My mom's sleeping medications.
Your mom's sleeping medication. Okay. And why do you feel like you have it in your hand and it looked like right before I said freeze that you were about to take it? What's going on in your head? Like, where are you going with this?
I'm tired. I'm tired of everything. I'm such a disappointment. I know I failed that test. I know I'm ugly, and I'm just over it. I just want to kill myself.
You're looking for the pain to stop. Is that something that people with suicidality and suicidal thoughts and depression experience? They want the pain to stop.
Sure, definitely.
What would you, give us an idea of what we should say to kind of help this situation? Because don't you want to get up there, I want to hug her, like Kate, right? How can we help you? What would feel good? What would help, do you think, right now?
I have my mom with me.
Okay, well, maybe we can get her on the phone? Maybe we can get the mother on the phone? Dr. Del Rio, can you get the mother on the phone?
Sure.
Okay, we'll try to get the mother on the phone and get the mother to come if we can. But in the meantime, what can we do? Yes, Brendan, thank you.
I was just gonna ask if maybe one of the counselors could show us like because I feel like a lot of us are nervous to go up there just because it's such a touchy situation. So I was wondering if one of them could kind of show us what they think like a student or a peer or a friend would be able to do to help Kate in that situation.
Excellent idea. Do you want to do that? Which one of you?
Sure, I mean, I guess we could probably do it together. I mean, we
Rock,
could,
paper, scissors? No.
Do you want us to both go or just one of us?
One of you.
I mean, we could always stay here, and I mean, I could do it, it's not a problem, but,
Okay.
yeah, I mean, I think when it comes to this as a friend or as a family member, the main thing is to make them feel like you at least try to understand.
Do it.
Yeah, and so, I would say, in this situation, it sounds like you're having a really difficult time with everything that's going on. And, all you want to do is to make the pain go away. And it seems like the only possibility that you have here is to take your life and to end your life by suicide.
Does that feel helpful?
Yeah.
A little bit?
Yeah.
Does anybody else want to give it a try? Kenny, thank you. Yes. Come on. No.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Just trying to think.
Like,
Just trying to
stand
think.
up and
Oh,
come
stand
on
up.
the stage
Gotcha.
and do it. Yeah. Counting on you. Up to the rescue. Yeah, there you go. Excellent.
It's okay.
Nice
I
and loud,
know-
Kenny.
I know it may feel like it's the end of the world right now. I know. Trust me. I hear you. I understand the pain you're going through and with all the thoughts you're experiencing right now. But trust me, it's only temporarily. You are strong, and I believe in you. I'm here for you if you need anything. Seriously. You're not in this by yourself, alright? You have people around you that love you, that believe in you. So just trust yourself like I'm trusting you right now to believe in yourself.
You're not gonna give us some candy? That was great, right? What did you like about what Kenny did? What did you like? What were the strengths here? Dr. Scala?
I like that he validated her thoughts and feelings, and then also pointed out the positives, that she's strong, and that you have people here that care about you, that are here to support you. So there's really kind of no mention of the suicide within his talk. He was just kind of being a person that's here for support,
So-
and kind of being in the moment.
So do we mention it? Do we say it? Do we dare to go where no man has gone before? What do we do? Dr. Castro, do you want to give us some tips and tricks?
Well, I think Kenny
Yeah.
did, and Tim just restated. If you have someone on the edge of a cliff, you want them first to move back, not forward, and then try to understand the situation. So having her validated in what she feels and what she wants moves her a couple of steps away from the cliff, and then start the thought process. But I was captured by Dr. Del Rio Roberts' approach to things, because she was before she was interrupted, what she did was she started working with her onto what could be some alternatives to I want my mommy here, which is what you said, and which could be an impossibility. It could be impractical. Mom is at work, mom or doesn't want to be here. Those things are to deal with later. But she started walking you towards a path where maybe a friend, maybe a family member, maybe a neighbor, maybe someone else could be that company. Death will be loneliness forever. So it's really the bad prospect here. But she was walking you towards, let's find out what could be an acceptable medium point between I want my mom and I cannot have her. And that's why I was following her questioning in a way that I thought this is going to go very well, because before we know it, she's going to be somewhat saying, hey, this is not as bad as I thought it was.
Well,
Yeah.
and you're absolutely right. That's where I was going, and I think the next piece of that is, you know, you want to validate, you want to let the person know that you're there for them, but you also want to create a plan. You don't want to leave them hanging. So sometimes, because that's not enough, right? So who can we call? Can we call? Is it okay to call your mom? If it's not okay to call your mom, is there anyone else that we can call? And we don't have to tell them necessarily that you right this minute that, you know, I'm not going to necessarily share with them right this minute that what was happening, but that we can talk about your feelings. Can we call your dad? Can we call a grandparent? Can we call a friend? And then we come up with a plan. How are we going to help keep you safe so that you don't make a decision in the moment because you are feeling overwhelmed that you might not be able to take back?
Excellent. Yeah. What were we gonna say?
I was just gonna say, I know like when from some of my training with like being a resident assistant and stuff, we were told like the first thing you want to do is see like, do you have the plan to hurt yourself? Do you have the means to do so? But walking into a situation like this, it's already blatantly clear that that's what's going on. So I think, kind of like was said, I know it was said earlier, like this is a situation that we need like professionals for, but when you're confronted with a situation like this as a normal person, there is no, you have to be that person. There is no professional. So like, your first thing to do is like kind of validate the feelings that are going on, like they said. Maybe try to, hey, what's in your hand? Can I hold on to that for a second? And that's when you can kind of slow things down.
Excellent. Like, come on up.
Okay.
That's great. That is great. And then I'm going to go to our audience online who is watching and have a lot of comments, our PhD students that I forced to come to everything.
Hi, Kate.
Nice and loud.
Hi, Kate. How's it going? I'm sorry. I know you're a little upset right now. Can you just talk to? I know we don't really talk that much at school and everything, but I can see you're really upset, and I was just wondering if you can just kind of like let me know what's going on with you, and if there's any way I can help, or just to share kind of what you're going through.
Just been feeling a little bit depressed lately. Feeling lonely and have a hard time making friends.
You know, I'm really sorry about that, and I know things have been really tough for you lately, but I hope you know I'm always here to talk with you. And could I just see what you? Can I just hold on to this real quick, maybe? Okay, perfect. Look, I just want to let you know that you do, even if you might not know it, you have so many people who support you and love you and care about you, and that we're always going to be here for you. Okay? And anytime you need to, you can give me a call, a text, or anything, and I'm going to be there. All right? So.
Excellent. Give him a big hand. Nice. So these are some great interventions that we're seeing here. I love it. You got that out of. What did you like about the way Brendan did this? Like his nonverbal and his verbal communication. What did you like, Dr. Scala?
I like that it was very natural, and he didn't, just take the pills out of her hand. And he gently did that as he was communicating with her and providing that support.
Right. Excellent. Any other comments from the staff or our crew or anybody else?
Well, he made it.
I'm sorry.
Sorry.
No, go.
I'd say he leaned in so you could tell that he was there to support her and wasn't just like putting on a front.
Yeah. I mean, it's, when we talk about proxemics, right? We talk about like not getting too much in somebody's face, giving them some distance, but at the same time he leaned in and he did what I would call the touch test. It's just like kind of just a tiny little human to human interaction to let you know that I care, but not to be too much either, right? So there was this nice balance. I also liked his eye contact. I liked his tone. It wasn't just what he said, it was how he said it in a soothing way, right? Now, we get to the hard part. Because we got the pills away. She's not in danger currently, but there's more here. So from our trip, Inspire folks, what would you recommend is next steps?
Well, I mean, if she is still considering taking her life, even after we've talked to her and really kind of figured out the situation, if it gets to the point where she's still thinking of taking her life, then we would probably have to, call 911 or, to get a check.
Great. Dr. Del Rio?
I just want to add that I don't think a friend or a family member should take on the burden of determining whether she's still suicidal or not. So you definitely validate, definitely support, and look for help, whether it is you obviously she's a minor, so the first thing you need to do if you're not a mental health professional is call one of her parents and get in touch with one of her parents. If you're just a friend, if you can't get a hold of her parents, then you need to get help from a teacher, a school counselor, maybe the school resource officer, someone who is professionally trained to talk to Kate and determine whether she still is at risk.
So let's say that this is happening right here, right now, NSU, here we are. What do we do?
What do you tell?
I think right here.
Yeah.
What do we do right here, right now? What do we do?
Given that if we weren't here.
Yeah, because we got three clinical psychologists,
right.
licensed clinical psychologists, and our Inspire and Trip counselors are present and here and they are trained in this, but we're talking about Kenny or me, you know, or Brendan, right? What?
I was just gonna say, after I would do what I did and try to get the bottle out of her hand, and once I feel like I'm at a point where I can not even step away but separate for a second, I would honestly call 911 or public safety or someone like that. But
Yes, we agree? We all agree? What about our counselors? We agree?
I was gonna say, you know, if you do feel like you need to call somebody to come in from the school resource officer or 911, whoever it may be, obviously that's gonna take a while. It won't be right away. So I think, you know, nobody's really given her the space to like explain what's going on and more of her thoughts, because she seems really lonely and like her thoughts make her seem like she's worthless. So kind of just giving her this time to talk that through right now and seeing what's led her up to this point.
Good. So we would ask what kinds of questions of her?
I would ask her, you know, it seems like there's a lot going on in your head right now. Is there anything that you want to talk about while we're in this moment together?
Is there anything else you want to talk about while we're in this moment together?
I feel upset. I feel really lonely. And I have a hard time making friends. I feel like nobody really understands me. And I don't really know what to do.
Yeah, it seems like, you know, you feel really lost right now. You know, that nobody's here to support you, let alone on your birthday. You know, that's a day that most people look forward to, and it sounded like you really were, and your mom's not here. So I can imagine, you know, that severe amount of loneliness.
Yeah. It doesn't really help that, you know, Dad's not there either.
Yeah. So dad's not here, mom's not here, and you don't feel supported with your friends or even your classmates. And you're just stuck with your thoughts weighing you down.
But it feels helpful, right, that you're talking it through a little bit? Does that feel helpful? Do you feel safe? Do you feel like a rapport has now been developed?
I do feel a little bit more comfortable.
Excellent. That's great. So now you might be willing to go talk to people like Tripp or a professional counselor, or do you feel like maybe it's time for us to do that? Yeah. All right, great. We're gonna call your mom, can we? Yeah, we're gonna call your mom. All right, I'm gonna take some of these, I just wanna share some of the comments, right, that are going on. So we've got Nakia Sanders and Anne Marie and Keldon. These are all PhD students in the School of Criminal Justice that are here. And wow, they're going crazy. They have a lot of things that they're saying. This is awesome. So one of the things that, I'm not gonna read every single one, but Nakia says this is so hard to watch. You never know what people are going through ever. In a world where you can be anything, be kind. Keldon is saying, sounds like mom may just have may have burnout or stress from work that aids to a potential absent presence at home due to a lack of energy possibly. Nakia says, maybe we can ask Kate what things she enjoys and get her connected to groups or an individual that also loves what she does. Like Sociodrama Club, Stage for Change. Might be a good, right? That might be a really good outlet for you, because everybody here does like some really great work. And we have a really great camaraderie, right? It's like a little family. And so maybe getting involved in something like this might be good for you. Would you be interested? Yeah. Great. All right. I'm going to take you guys out of character now. Come out of character. Kate, do you need some water? Did we have any water for Kate? Anybody have? Did you bring water?
Yeah, I'm fine.
You sure? Okay. All right. So. What's that?
We're getting it to her regardless.
Yeah, we're giving it to her anyway. Thank you. Very good. Excellent. And it was really hard to be behind the mask. Why don't you come a little bit closer upstage a little bit? And I'm going to go to the voices in the head first. What was it like for you to play this role? Very different than anything we've ever done before.
Yeah, no, it's definitely different for sociodrama. I've done different like things, especially in terms of mental health, are really important to me, and I've done a lot of things in that sphere. Like even in high school, I was like, I did peer leader, and like we would help with the retreats. And on one of them, we did a similar skit where it was somebody that was dealing with kind of like the demons in the head situation. So like in that aspect, it was like it's like, oh, okay, like you kind of knew before, but still having to say those horrible things to someone, like it doesn't get any easier, and especially like no, you can't deny me what I want, like every time. But it's just but it still ends up being a rewarding experience just because of the kind of conversations that are able to be had like because of that, and just really important and nice to see like from the different counseling offices and from the psychology, from the College of Psychology, and just knowing the different resources and events that I've gotten to go to on campus in regards to mental health, like even getting to start motivation like for mental health type things. So it's been a good experience. Kind of sucky at times, only just like as we're creating the scenes and everything, like it's kind of sorry, I have to be louder. Just kind of like as we're making the scenes and kind of reflecting on like what to say and what's important, different things that can be brought up to really get the message across, does require a bit of reflection. Like, and as someone that has battled depression and like has not, like, obviously, like, thankfully not to this extent, but even just coincidentally, I have been in multiple situations where there was someone that was like in a life or death situation, and I ended up being someone that needed to help them like in that scenario. And like this is one of the first times I'm getting advice like on next steps and what to do in those situations. So it's like, as much as it's like, yeah, this is like, it seems almost like dramatized, like, yeah, we have the mask and everything, but these are very real scenarios and very important skills to have, because I mean, and hopefully that doesn't end up happening to anyone, but like being in a situation where you are the other person that's there and having to figure out like what you're supposed to do in that situation, and which is why I think it was really important, like you were saying, that, you know, as a friend, like you want to help, you do everything that you can, but then also making sure that that weight of making sure that they're safe doesn't completely fall on your shoulders, because it does end up becoming like a thing after a while when it's like you're focusing on your own mental health as well as supporting somebody else. And a lot of times, like as people will talk about it, it's like, okay, you're the friend, you do this, you do that, but then it's like almost stigmatized to go and get that help, because it's like, oh, like I don't want to tell some counselor or something, and then next thing you know, like they're taking out a class and they end up presenting you for it. And like there's a lot of different complications that come in when something like this happens, which is why events like this I feel are so important. So thank you all for coming and for your advice.
Excellent.
And I love you, kid.
Veronica?
This is actually my second show, so this being one of the topics that I have to like, you know, perform in, it was a little bit nerve-wracking for me, especially that I had to say a lot of mean things to Kate, and I'm not even a mean person, so like it was kind of difficult to come up with these insults, and also difficult to say them as well, because although like, you know, it is drama, it's still sometimes, you know, it still kind of gets to you in a way. And, you know, sometimes when it comes to depression, especially as someone who, you know, has dealt with it, I know that sometimes you're not even aware that you're depressed. Sometimes you just do things like sleep all day, you don't eat, and sometimes you just think that you're just having one of those days, but you're really falling far into that hole without even realize it. And sometimes just, it starts off with a thought, and then as a depression progresses, it starts to become more than a thought, and it starts to become something that you plan out. And I just feel like a skill that a lot of people, you know, should like start, you know, learning is how to be comfortable, or how to like comfort somebody who's in this situation, because sometimes it might feel something like it's kind of awkward, or you don't know what to say, or you don't know what to do. And, you know, I think comforting is something that some people should, you know, really try to learn as a life skill for others. And, you know, and yeah.
Good, great. Kate, hard, not easy, not an easy role.
Yeah, definitely not. I mean, before I even get into my whole spiel, I just want to say, the nicest people. The nicest people. And just even like starting this, I could already like hear like Veronica being like, I don't know what to say, like I can't say anything hurtful, and it's like, it's okay, it's okay, I get you. Like it's not really that, it's really hard to, you know, I guess say mean things to people, especially in this sort of topic where, like, you know, if you're someone who has depression, you could easily like escalate like a lot further than like it's someone who's, so to speak, normal, in which you could be like, oh, like, you're stupid, and just like you could rub, like, comes off your shoulder, or like, you know, I'm rambling, but sorry about that. The main reason why I went into this role, because a lot of this comes from my experience as well. I also battle with depression. I've dealt with this since I was diagnosed at like 14. I also had experienced suicidal thoughts. I was even to that point, to that edge, multiple times, and I've had situations in where, like, you know, people have stopped me in time. And more than anything, the main reason why I chose this role, knowing that this is something that I have experienced, was like, if more than anything, to, so to speak, come to terms with, like, this is something I've experienced, this is something that other people are experiencing, and that I know now that it's gonna be okay. Like, there are gonna be moments where I'm still gonna think about, you know, doing, like, getting to that point, or, you know, feeling that certain way, but I know that in the end it's gonna be okay. And, you know, as mentioned in the, you know, during our discussions, you know, I also have a hard time making friends. I mean, they know, I've mentioned it before, I have a very hard time making friends. I'm very introverted, I'm very kept to myself, I'm very reserved. You know, I've just been lonely for a long while, and I try, through sociodrama, through everything that I do, I try to exert myself to not put myself in that headspace again as I once was.
We love you,
That's all.
Kate. We love you, and we thank you for putting your heart and your soul into the role. I just want to give anybody, and everybody doesn't have to comment, but everybody, the ensemble did put this together, so they developed it.
I just have a question for
Yeah.
everybody in the room.
Yeah.
So say you are dealing with someone, obviously at this point, or just someone with really bad depression. I've heard mixed opinions and comments about it, but when challenging their thoughts, I've heard that it could help them think a different way, or also it can make them feel invalidated. So with the test, if you could say it may seem like a big thing right now, but I promise you it's not. 5 years from now, you might not even remember it. Some people could be that could help their train of thought, but others will say that could invalidate what they're feeling. And I don't know if that depends on the person, if that's a bad way to go. But even just I've opened up to someone literally a week ago. I was crying about body image or whatever, and their response was cut it out. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it's just challenging their thoughts. Not like that, but do you guys think that that's a good way to go? It depends on the person's personality, or could it be really invalidating feeling?
I think, some of it is really invalidating, the cut it out, because then it's
yeah,
they
not
don't
that.
want to hear you, or you're smart, you can do it, those are just your bad thoughts. I think that can be invalidating in a way too, but it sounds like you're kind of trying to get them to think more positive. So I would maybe ask her, well, validate, obviously I hear that you're really lonely and feeling worthless, but maybe think what's kept you here though? Mm-hmm. That way it gets her to focus on something more positive, and maybe she'll say I don't know, she has a dog, and that's what kept her here and comforts her. Mm-hmm. So maybe trying to change her thought pathway that way. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Strengths focus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, anybody from the ensemble that wants to just put their 2 cents in? You don't have to, just if you do. Good? We're good? All right, Dr. Scala, last word?
I just thought this was great, and I want to commend you for taking on that role, because I know that's not easy to bring up things from the past that were very painful for you. A lot of times that's harder for someone who's gone through it than someone who hasn't gone through it and is trying to play this role. So
yes,
be strong and feel good about what you've done, and because you're bringing awareness to everybody here as well.
Absolutely. And I think that that's the beauty of the work, not to say, I don't want to brag on it, but I say with all humility that the technique works. The technique by itself works, and the ensemble has come together on all of these various topics, developing these amazing scenes, putting their heart and soul into everything. And I do believe, and it's not just, a lame statement, that you're saving lives, even if it's just one. Just that's what stage 4 change is about. Dr. Del Rio, last word.
I think I want to commend all of the students that put the time and energy into doing this, especially those, that it takes a lot of courage to talk about your own internal struggles, not only to portray them, but to talk about them, and making yourself vulnerable so that other people can potentially relate and understand and say, you know what, I'm not alone. This is not just a scene. This is real life, and people have gotten through this, and they do feel the way I do.
Yeah.
So you guys are really making a positive difference.
Yeah. And how wonderful that we're able to actually talk to you while you're alive, right? And not after the fact, when people go, oh, I always thought she was just so kind of happy-go-lucky. Never knew what was going on for her. Dr. Castro, last word?
Sure. I want to give you a big thank you on my behalf, on behalf of the college, and on behalf of the dean who's watching, just texted me and said, this is amazing. I know that you're making an impact, and persist, and you will get to a much broader audience.
Yes.
And that's the idea.
Yes, we will.
We will try to help as much as we can, but believe me, you're making a difference.
Yes. And I love you very much, all of you. All right, so thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for all of the PhD students who tuned in, and anyone else. Thank you, Dean. Dr. Del Rio, don't go away, got something for you. Thank you, Dr. Scala. Thank you to Trip and Inspire.